Hello. Today we're going to look at theories of media management. So the term process is a series of actions or events marked by change. Media is definitely considered a process, the management of it, because it's constantly changing. 24/7 operations, the technology is changing, the advertising is changing, so it's always in process. There are different approaches. There were two major schools of management. The first is the classic school of management, from the late 1800s to the 1920s, and it's associated with the Industrial Revolution. The philosophy focused on practical measures, primarily improving the means of production and increasing productivity among workers. And there were three different approaches in three different countries. The US had scientific management, France had administrative management, and Germany had bureaucratic management. So here in the US, scientific management. It was the determination of the most effective way to coordinate tasks, careful selection of employees for different positions, the proper training and development, and introduction to economic incentives to motivate employees. We will pay you more money if you do this. You make 24,000 widgets this month, you will get a bonus. It worked. Then there's France and the administrative approach. This focused on managerial practices to increase efficiency. The belief in training the management instead of on the individual worker efficiency. It's all based on forecasting and planning. And Fayol's 14 principles of management spell it out here. Discipline, authority, unity of command, centralization. If you look through these, you can see that it all culminates at the end in a spirit of harmony. And then the Germans had the bureaucratic management. This was a clear division of labor and management with a strong central authority, similar to the administrative. There was careful selection of workers based on technical qualifications. These were Weber's contributions, and he also, through this, created things like job descriptions, which had never been before, and specific guidelines for promotion and advancement. And then the next approach was the human relations school of management. This recognized that managers and employees were in fact members of the same group and shared in the accomplishment of the organizational objectives. One study was an experiment that investigated the impact on lighting. It was called the Hawthorne studies, lighting in the workplace. And what they did was they increased lighting in the workplace for some employees and not others to see if it increased their effectiveness, I should say. And what they found is that it wasn't so much the lighting as it was the attention the management was giving to the employees. So everyone increased productivity because the management was paying such careful attention to them, they did better work. So the management's attention to the employee productivity showed that workers need social as well as physical and monetary needs met. Then there's Maslow's theory hierarchy of needs. Employees have a series of needs. As one level of needs is met from the bottom up, other levels need to become important. They do become important to the individual until you progress all the way through the self-actualization. Some of you have probably heard of this before. Managers need different motivational techniques to motivate people according to where their needs are at. So physiological, the bottom level, breathing, food, water, sex, sleep, all the things you need to survive. And then safety, important things to you to make sure that your employment is always there for you, that you have resources, that your family and your health are taken care of, and your property. And then love and belonging, esteem, making you feel good about yourself and having achievements, and then you reach self-actualization. Hertzberg's Hygiene and Motivator Factors. I don't know why they titled it this. I find this really interesting that they call it hygiene because it's based on the work environment. And what it comes down to is that the work environment is important to employees, both the technical and physical conditions that they work in, as well as policies. But also motivators are important. They want recognition, achievement, and responsibility, and individual growth. So managers have to recognize that both of these sets of factors, are involved in maintaining good job satisfaction. X and Y theory. I guess I couldn't come up with a better title for these. I guess it's better than hygiene, though. The X theory emphasizes the use of control tactics, threats, and coercion to motivate employees. Wow. But then there's the Y theory. Managers don't rely on control and fear, but integrate the needs of the worker into the needs of the organization. So they allow employees to be self-directed, to develop their own sense of responsibility. And then there's theory Z. Employees' participation and individual development are important components of the organizational growth. Interpersonal relationships between workers and management is stressed. This is a great way to go for media organizations. Management makes the key decisions for the organization with a strong sense of authority, but the workers still feel like they have input. The Human Relations School of Management launched a significant change in management thought as the focus moved from production to the role of employees in meeting organizational goals and objectives. This created a more positive work environment, and it intended to the needs of the employees. The modern approaches to management. In the 1960s, management began to integrate both the classical and the human relations schools. Makes sense. Both of them have good aspects. Both of them had not so good aspects, so they were combined. In management effectiveness, they used the MBO, which was management by objectives. So this involved goals for each individual area of responsibility, and then they guided the individual units. The management guides the individual units through those goals in a set period of time. Systems approach. This is when the entire organization is examined. The labor, capital, and equipment as the inputs through production processes and the outputs of products, goods, and services. It also looks at the external environment surrounding it. Total quality management. This is a quality in organizations, especially in regard to producing products and services, both external and internal. In media management, this can be used in areas like production of content, advertising, and public relations. Strategic management, that's developing strategies to gain a competitive edge. And then, of course, there's leadership. The most successful organizations have strong leaders. Leadership qualities, vision, passion, and integrity. I think we should all have those qualities. In the future, managers must be willing to cope with and use change as a competitive edge. This is critical. They have to be able to cope with change. Change is everywhere. The challenge is how to embrace change successfully, constantly looking for new opportunities to grow. 4 characteristics of great managers are selecting the right talent, defining clear expectations, focusing on each individual's strengths, and helping individuals find the right fit in an organization. You could use these 3 characteristics in any occupation and you will be successful. So this week's assignment, you're asked to read the case study on page 85 and answer the questions pertaining to the case study. And please make it APA formatted and cite your references. Thank you and have a great week.